and all these dreams that she had never honored, and all these experiences of the earth, which she had sort of socked away. And she thought of that poem of Wendell Berry's, "When despair for the world overwhelms me, I go down where the wood duck," I can't remember the whole of it. You know that? The place where the wood duck lies and the great heron feeds. And I'm filled with hope for the future or something.
That's right.
So Susie remembered that.
Wild things.
The peace of wild things. And Susie remembered that. But she was tired. And she looked at all these bits of her life, which she had kept stuffed down for so long. And she said to herself, what am I going to do with all of this? And for a year, she did nothing because she was too tired to do anything. But then she started going out and watching birds and paddling a kayak, visiting little islands. And one day, Susie was out in Casco Bay with a friend in a big powerboat, actually a bunch of friends. And they went by an island, and her friend said, you know, that island is for sale. And Susie said, it is? And he said, yes. It's been for sale for a year and nobody wants it. And Susie said, well, I want it. I think we should buy it. I think we should buy it and we should turn it into a park. And everybody said, yeah, because, you know, it was after 5 o'clock and you know what happens on boats after 5 o'clock. Once the sun is over the yardarm, people get a little merry. So Susie went home and she didn't say anything for 2 weeks to anybody. And then she went to her prayer group. And the prayer group said, you're not crazy, Susie. That's a good idea. Why don't you take a few people out there and show it to them? And Susie said, all right. So Susie invited everybody she could think of. She invited the Land Trust. She invited the Open Space Committee. She invited Main Island Trails. She invited the Maine Coast Heritage Trust. She invited everybody she knew who knew anything about parks. And they walked around the island and they listened to the waves lapping against the shore, and they skipped rocks, and they looked up in the trees where they saw the bald eagle and 2 baby bald eagles, and they listened to the ospreys who were very unhappy that they were there, and they swatted a few mosquitoes. And in the end, they stood around in a circle just like this. And Susie said to them, am I crazy, or should we make this into a park? You might as well tell me now, Susie said. If it's not a good idea, just save me the grief and tell me now. And they all nodded their heads. And they said, you know, this is a good idea. We should do this. And Susie said, will you help me? And some of them said, well, it's a good idea, but it's not our thing. And other people said, yeah, we'll help you. And the two who said they would help the most were the local land trust and the Maine Coast Heritage Trust. Maine Coast Heritage Trust said, we'll teach you how to raise the money, but you'll have to do it. And Susie said, okay. And they got a contract on the island for $1.4 million, which was a great improvement over the original price, which was $2 million. And they had 15 months to raise the money. Susie wanted to have art shows and musicians and concerts and parties. And the people from the Maine Coast Heritage Trust said, no, that is not going to work. You have to ask people for money. That is the one thing that Susie did not want to do. And neither did any of her friends. So they got together and they had a party at Susie's house. And they had food. And they had a phone-a-thon. And they all made phone calls on the same night. And they set up appointments and they fanned out. And so far, they have raised $500,000. Plus, they got $200,000 from the town, $75,000 from Land for Maine's Future, $100,000 from the Pew Charitable Trust, $150,000 from Maine Coast Heritage Trust, and on August 15th, Clabberd Island in Casco Bay is going to be a park forever and ever. And everybody and their children and their grandchildren for generations forever can go out there and listen to the waves lapping against the shore and skip the rocks and hear the ospreys and look at the bald eagles with their binoculars and swat the mosquitoes and honor all those parts of us that are connected to Mother Earth, that need the earth for renewal, and that cannot do all these other tasks, important tasks, without taking time out to be refreshed and to really feel beneath their feet the connection to Mother Earth. So that's the story of the preservation of Clabberd Island. On the 15th of August, it's going to happen. And on the 16th of August, you can go down to the Falmouth Town Landing and get in your kayak or your inner tube or put on your bathing suit. It's only a mile to Clabberd Island. In all of Portland Harbor, it's the closest island to the shore. It's a great family trip, and you'll be able to do it now forever.